Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch the videos. I really appreciate all of the continued support. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and discuss today. So before we get into it, do me a big favor. If you do end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. The first topic we're discussing has to do with the upcoming Last of Us HBO series. This is reading from PlayStation Universe, where it says Pedro Pascal, the actor portraying Joel in HBO's adaptation of The Last of Us, has revealed that he deliberately didn't spend too much time with Naughty Dog's post-apocalyptic hit when preparing for his role, so he wouldn't end up imitating the game's incarnation of the character. The actor revealed he didn't actually play The Last of Us himself, but rather watched his nephew play the game. Even so, he didn't get too involved when preparing for the role. I watched for as long as I was able to that day, and then I had to leave Florida. I found Joel so impressive. I found the whole of it such a visually impressive experience, and then I got worried that I would want to imitate too much, which I think could be right in some circumstances and then a mistake in others. There's a very, very creative way of honoring what's important and also preserving what is iconic to the experience of the video game, and also to include things that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and then directions that you would expect to go in and it might not. They're doing some really smart things is all I can say. And it says here that The Last of Us HBO is still in the process of filming and is expected to launch sometime in 2023. And obviously there is the rumored PlayStation 5 Last of Us remake that is set to be revealed sometime soon. And I do have to say that I find what Pedro Pascal is saying here interesting, because I do mostly agree with him. I hope that he doesn't get so far away from the version of Joel that we know from the games that he's unrecognizable, and I don't think he will. I think that it is actually good to kind of allow this version of Joel, Pedro Pascal's version, to kind of have a uniqueness to it, to kind of stand out and create that distance. I think that since it is a live adaptation of The Last of Us, it will benefit from that. And so I gotta say, it will be really interesting to see how he ends up doing as Joel in this Last of Us series. You guys let me know your thoughts about that down below. Next up, we're talking about Ghost of Tsushima. This is reading from Push Square, where they say Ghost of Tsushima developer Sucker Punch seems to be moving on from its open world epic following close to 2 years of post-launch support. The game's latest update, patch 2.18, released earlier this week, adjusting various aspects of the title's dedicated co-op multiplayer mode, Legends. It also included a couple of minor tweaks to the game's single-player campaign. It's the statement at the bottom of Update 2.18's patch notes that's making headlines, however. It reads, "While we aren't actively working on any additional patches at the moment, we will continue to monitor feedback on the community-run subreddit and messages sent to Sucker Punch Productions on Twitter for any high-priority bugs or issues that emerge." It continues, "We want to say a huge thank you to the entire community for the incredible amount of support and feedback we've gotten since launch. When Legends launched in October of 2020, we never expected to have such an active community more than a year and a half later, and we could not be more thankful to everyone who has been with us on this journey." Again, it looks like this is the end of the line for Ghost of Tsushima, and that comes as no real surprise. It's been heavily suggested that the bulk of Sucker Punch moved on to the studio's next project a long time ago, that project supposedly being a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Surely an easy game for Sony to greenlight, seeing as Jin's initial adventure has sold extremely well since it released on the PlayStation 4 originally in 2020. And so I wanted to let you guys know about this because I do think that it's worth noting. Sucker Punch did support this game for quite a long time here, and I think it's fair that they're letting it be known that they're going to move on, and it makes sense because there's no doubt that they have a lot going on behind the scenes there at Sucker Punch, likely working on a proper sequel and maybe working on something else alongside that. So they probably have to pull the small team that is continuing to update this game and put them on one of these projects. And so yeah, it will be certainly exciting to see what Sucker Punch ends up revealing next. I have a feeling that Ghost of Tsushima 2 will not be the first thing we hear from Sucker Punch. I could be wrong about that, but I just kind of had this hunch. Let me know down in the comments below if you're still playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends and what you think Sucker Punch is up to now. Now, the next topic we're moving on to talks about the Activision Blizzard deal because I figured this was something you guys might want to pay attention to. It seems like this deal is running into a lot of roadblocks, maybe more than anybody, including Microsoft, was anticipating. So this is reading from WCCF Tech, where they say the Activision Blizzard purchase from earlier this year has some new information out for it. A quick recap though, back in January of 2022, Microsoft went and purchased the developer for $68 billion. It's probably one of, if not the biggest developer acquisition in recent years. The game developer's acquisition is still ongoing as it stands right now. That said, the SOC investment group comes in at this point. The group forwarded a letter to Activision Blizzard shareholders, essentially urging them to vote against the Microsoft purchase. The stockholder meeting for this very topic is scheduled to occur in 2 weeks on April 28th, 2022. The letter sees the SOC saying, quote, "This transition fails to properly value Activision and its future earnings potential. In significant part because it ignores the role that the harassment crisis and the Activision board's incompetent handling of it has played in delaying product releases and depressing the share price," end quote. The SOC wraps up by saying, quote, "We do not believe that Activision shareholders should be looking to a transaction to rebuild the value lost by Activision management's failure to ensure workplace safety and equity, and by the board's failure to respond constructively to the ongoing crisis," end quote. Today isn't the first time the SOC has gone and made comments regarding the rather troubled developer. Last year, they have also said that the publisher's executives have to be held accountable for the misconduct crisis last year. Of course, there is a lot more to be said about how much value has been lost on Activision Blizzard following the scandal it's been facing. And I wanted to be sure to let you guys know about this, because if there's one thing that's becoming increasingly clear is that this is far from a done deal for Microsoft. And I don't want to say that it's likely or unlikely that it will end up going through, because I don't know, but it seems that each week there's something new popping up, a new roadblock that Microsoft is facing. And I will admit that Microsoft likely saw this coming. I highly doubt they would have pursued a acquisition like this if they weren't expecting this to happen. But nonetheless, it's something we might want to continue to pay attention to, because there is just a lot getting in Microsoft's way, and we'll have to see in the end if it ends up mattering or not. But you do have to kind of point out that, yeah, there are a couple things here that I think are valid concerns or criticisms with what's going on. And this is one of the biggest things that people have a problem with, is that with this whole Microsoft acquisition, it seems like the people who are responsible for practically the destruction of Activision's workplace are seemingly going to get off scot-free, and they're even going to make out pretty good in the end. It just doesn't seem right, and it's certainly not a good look. And so I do think it is completely understandable why these concerns are being brought up. But we'll have to keep an eye on it and see how it plays out going forward. But we are moving on to the next topic, which talks once again about Kojima Productions. We have a pretty significant update to this entire situation. For those who are unaware, PlayStation Studios officially updated their banner the other day to include Death Stranding, and this led to rampant speculation across the internet that maybe Sony has acquired Kojima Productions as a first-party studio. Now, not too long after that, Hideo Kojima took to Twitter and put out a tweet that had this image. It's simply the banner with Death Stranding and the PlayStation Studios logo, and he didn't say anything. This is all he tweeted, just the image. Surely he had to have been aware to some extent the conversations that were happening online when he did this. At the very least, he had to have seen that his name, or his name of his studio, it was trending pretty much all day. It's still trending. And so he had to come out not too long after that and say, "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but Kojima Productions has been and will continue to be an independent studio." Now, not everybody is taking this for face value, because people are pointing out that we saw a similar situation happen with Bluepoint Games, where Sony accidentally leaked, one of their Twitter accounts anyway, that they did acquire Bluepoint Games. Now, this was months before the actual announcement was made, and they took to Twitter, that being Bluepoint Games, to update their bio and their description to say that they are fully self-funded and fully independent. And so this kind of led to a lot of people saying, okay, I guess maybe PlayStation really did just make a mistake, just to find out not too long after that Well, it turns out Sony did actually, in fact, acquire them. And people are also pointing out a similar situation with Bungie shortly before they were acquired as well. Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion. I'm just going to take Kojima's word for it. I don't want this to blow up any more than it already has. I will say it is awfully strange that he didn't think to maybe type anything alongside the image that he was tweeting out. Like, surely he knew what he was doing. A lot of people are saying he was just trolling. That's certainly a possibility. We know he likes to do that from time to time. So I do believe Kojima, I do believe they are still an independent studio and they will remain a PlayStation partner. If anything changes, then I will be sure to cover it and let you guys know. But one last thing I do want to bring up that I think is pretty significant is the fact that Jeff Grubb made it clear that the big acquisition he was referring to a week ago was not Kojima Productions. In fact, he went on to say that the acquisition he had heard that PlayStation made was significantly bigger than Kojima Productions. I don't know if he used the word significantly, but nonetheless, he did say that it was bigger than Kojima Productions. And he did say that Kojima Productions was not a name that he had heard.
For the rumors about a big acquisition from Sony, it was never Kojima Productions, at least not as far as I'm aware. Like, the people that were hearing this stuff, including me, that was not a name that was thrown around. It was bigger than Kojima Productions.
So I think this is worth noting, because if it does turn out in the end there is something to these acquisition rumors, these big acquisition rumors, then this is something we might want to pay attention to. A lot of people continue to speculate. Maybe it's Capcom, maybe it's Konami, something along those lines, and anything is possible. I'm not necessarily waiting for any of that to happen, but again, I just kind of want to keep you guys updated and keep you in the know and keep you in the loop. So there you go. That's the latest. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Again, if you did, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.